And you find that every time you are trying to control in one region, there is another swarm that is happening in a different region, and it is not possible to control them simultaneously because most of the time they are at different stages.
The United Nations says locust swarms are threatening the food supply of millions. They've devastated thousands of crops as they move across parts of Africa.
They first made an unwelcome visit to Kenya in 1928. Working like careless criminals, they always left evidence of their destruction: dilapidated fields and hatched hoppers, which stretched the havoc towards 1930. Even after deploying administrative and agricultural officers, scouts, the Public Works Department, and laborers to fight the invasion, the locusts left the country with a damage of 20 billion Kenyan shillings. That was the colonial era. Recently, the locusts made their way to the country uninvited. Basing my story on an article published in the New York Times, I have compiled a cutting-edge mini-documentary on what the locust invasion means to the Kenyan economy, even during this coronavirus pandemic.
The small-scale farmers, it's a very big problem, and for the food security of Kenya, especially after a problem like the coronavirus, how are we going to feed Kenya? All of our produce is for local consumption, and yeah, I think everyone needs to take this seriously and support everywhere you can, because it's a very big problem for Kenya as a whole.
On the 28th December, after an absence of more than 70 years, locust swarms returned to Kenya. Residents of the arid counties of Mandera and Wajir in the northeastern part of the country saw the sky and land covered in countless small yellow and brown locusts arriving from Ethiopia and Somalia. These three counties were the most affected by the latest locust invasion. Scenes of frightened inhabitants trying to chase the insects away with sticks or frighten them by banging on metal sheets have been seen everywhere. The desert locust is considered to be one of the most dangerous of flying pests by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO, as its ability to fly long distances allows it to migrate quickly. A swarm of 1 square kilometers can gather nearly 80 million locusts, each one devouring the equivalent of its own weight, 2 grams per day. In a single day, a swarm of this size eats an amount of food equivalent to that of 35,000 people. And in some weeks of February, a swarm of 2,400 square kilometers, the size of Luxembourg, was recorded in Kenya. According to the Africa Report, counties like Marsabit, Mandera, Wajir, Meru, and Samburu lost 5,000 square kilometers of maize, millet, and other crops like vegetables. This biasness of the locust on green crops means agriculture, which amounts to 26% of Kenya's GDP, is crippled. The exportation of tea and flowers were hugely crippled. Meru farmers were also hit hard after Miraa was heavily consumed by the desert locust.
The first incidence of locust was reported in Meru on Friday evening, which settled at Kachiuru area, and we were able to be there very early in the morning. It moved to a place called Mariara, and on Sunday morning, we were able to spray that swarm that was at Mariara area, and many of the locusts died, but still the some that remained, we did another spray on Monday morning, but still we still have some that have not died, and we are continuing monitoring their movement.
The impact of the plague of locusts is being felt now. Farmers whose crops were consumed now have nothing in their stores. Consequently, with the coronavirus pandemic, Kenyans are experiencing a hard time for there is less food. This is a consequence of a plague before. Nicole Nyana, New York Times economic reporter in Nairobi.